And we're back, and look at that. I managed to load us up without cocking anything up, Sharky.
It's actually unheard of, and you actually brought my favorite beer, which is also unheard of. I'm trying to think, you're either trying to get into my pants here, or something's going to really cock up later.
Well, you park like a girl, so you never know.
You shut your mouth. I sent that out on Twitter in confidence, okay?
It's on Facebook too, you numbnuts.
I know, and all in confidence. Expect all this bullshit from you. Damn it.
I gave him a rousing round of applause when he managed to get it right outside the building, a minute ago.
It wasn't a parallel. I front parked my parallel. Completely checked like this. I'm never going to get my man card back.
And then still had to realign it 3 times.
But we had to talk about man stuff like rugby and stuff.
But the beer is basically because I provided that homebrew last week, which didn't exactly whet the appetite or...
I won't lie, I did struggle.
No, it was. It wasn't pleasant. We got a pretty packed show tonight for you folks. Lots to talk about. Lots and lots of contentious issues.
Yes, it's all going Pete-tong in the world of rugby.
The Herb are at it again. And then we are going to give Mindy a call in Australia in the wee hours of the morning in Melbourne to talk about the Lions and Robbie Deans' future employment opportunities. Because it's all changed in leadership positions across Australia in the last week. Mickey Arthur, Julie Gillard, and
Plum. Plumtree also out. But listen, did you pick up that the IOB now re-having a look? Yeah, we're looking at Hall's thing.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. Let's just knock off the local rugby in Cape Town. Only 2 games played this weekend because obviously the university's on holiday. So that took a whole lot of stuff out of the equation. Cracker of a game between Tygerberg and Belleville, though. 27-25 final score, 4 tries each, a conversion basically the difference.
Yeah.
And then Durban beat SK Warmers in another tight one, 26-18.
It's played at the track at SK's home ground, always a tough place to go. Hammies know they lost there early on this year after giving them a hiding at home. So, it's spicing up a little bit. We've got 3 games this weekend. I think more importantly, everyone's fighting off for that for the club champs or the community cup positions. But the 3 games this weekend, Hammy's back from a 2-week bye. They host Tygerberg, which is always going to be a tough game.
Yep.
Tygerberg coming back up into the league, always been pretty solid. Had a couple of some good oaks that have come through the Tygerberg ranks. I think Bola came through. Egon Seconds might have been there for a little bit in the beginning, the start of his career. So some couple of solid Western Province boys. The other game is Belleville, also going to be an absolute crackerjack. That's been played. Belleville going away to Belhar to play. Tough track to play on. Had probably one of my best post-match experiences ever at Belhar. It was one of the...
What was her name?
No,
did she not have teeth?
Yeah. That was a great time drinking with a couple of lads there a few years ago. And then the third game is Helderberg SK. Now SK are going to be pushing really hard, pushing Hammies and Durban for that community cup space. And going to Helderberg, you'd expect them to win. Helderberg are kind of not doing so well this year, but they're still in the mix and they're quite solid at home. So,
then just because I feel like talking about this one, tomorrow night at Village, it's Village versus False Bay, 9:00. And I
was trying to get on to get some of the Super B stuff so we could chat about it. I'm so glad you mentioned that, and I've got a dinner on tomorrow night, so I'm gonna have to pull a sickie. I definitely want to come watch that game. 2 of the oldest clubs and in Western Cape, and it's going to be massive.
Yeah, what it means for the Super League A, just in terms of what's going on there, is Durban are top now above UCT and Marties, but they have played 2 more games than them, and they're 5 points clear of Marties. SK are fully 14 points behind Durban, so I think the race for that Community Cup spot is pretty much done and dusted in terms of the league, but you never know. They have played 1 more game than Durban and are 14 points adrift. And then obviously there's no relegation this year because of the new format, so we're not even going to worry about that. But what we will talk about is the 5 that can come up
in Super B.
Yeah, pretty much look nailed down because there's a 9-point gap between 5th and 6th. So it's Primrose, University of the Western Cape with Peter de Villiers, False Bay, Kales River and NNK are the 5 teams floating around there. Village luckily can't be relegated from that one either. They'll stay in the mix for next season in the new 2nd division or whatever the hell they're going to call it. But they are bottom of the log, a woeful 6 points from 8 games.
I tell you, just to touch base, and for the guys that don't really know, UWC were I think the Varsity Shield will help them a lot, help them along a hell of a lot, and they are pumping a lot of time and money. And obviously, with Peter de Villiers being there, they're going to be a force in the future. But you look at False Bay, NNK, Kells River. I'm not sure if they've been in Super A, but the Bay and NNK have got a lot of heritage and a lot of history in the Super A.
Yes.
And there's some strong sides coming up. I mean, Primrose are quite comfortably. Not comfortably at top, but I mean they deserve to be up there. So it's going to be interesting. Next year is going to be fun.
Moving swiftly along, the Junior World Cup got wrapped up, and the first time ever a Northern Hemisphere team walked away with the title. England beating Wales 23-15 in the final. I didn't see much of it. I know Wales took an early lead, and do you know that if Wales had won that this week, they would have, as a nation,
everything.
Could have been reigning Junior World Cup champions, reigning Sevens World Cup champions, reigning Six Nations champions, and World Cup rugby semi-finalists. Never mind the fact that they had 8 of the 15 starting for the Lions on Saturday that got one up over the Wallabies. We'll talk about that later in the show because I think they were lucky. So 23-15, England winning that one. The final that everyone thought would be the final ended up being the cracker of the weekend.
What a game.
Hey, 41-34. The Baby Box get up over the Baby Blacks. 2 years running we've beaten them at age group level. Bodes well for South African rugby.
I was actually chatting to someone about it, and I was saying this is massive for us and for our future. The guys, once they start getting into their minds at a young age that we can beat the All Blacks, home or away or wherever we're playing, it's so much better because you bring those guys in, and a few of those youngsters are going to play for the Springboks or be in the mix.
And what a win, though, because they were 21-0 down.
21-0 down.
After 20-odd minutes, came back to be down 28-21 at half-time, and then ran away with it in the second half.
The game was exactly what we spoke about. The strengths and weaknesses of both sides were exactly the same. Up front, they were really piss poor and average. They couldn't scrum for shit. Their lineouts were crap. Their set pieces were average on both sides. Backline, dazzling. 2 intercept tries. It was phenomenal. It was sort of ebb and flowing all over the show, and we ended up beating them quite comfortably.
Yeah. Well, Neilio Desard tweeted if the Baby Box had sorted out their lineouts and been a bit stronger in the scrum, they could have won this tournament. And I just replied to him, if your grandma had balls, she'd be your grandpa.
Yeah, I saw that. But it's true though. If we had the right selections up front, there were a number of the guys. Obviously, when the Boks lose and we lose to Wales, the guys have words as to who should have been selected. A couple of issues, and obviously with Varsity Cup, we can see those guys more often. I'll tell you one thing though, England did win, but the RB Junior Player of the Year was the Welsh fly-half Sam Davies, the man that single-handedly sunk the Boks almost with that right-footed kick.
Oh, and he's a left-footed kicker.
Correct. He was great. I did enjoy watching him. He's quite a classy youngster.
Indeed. And now I've gone and lost what I was looking for.
That's unlike
because
you.
it's the Sevens World Cup this weekend.
Yes.
In Raska. And
did you see those cheerleaders?
Oh, dude, no. I have to be careful what I watch. But what did happen is because there were a lot of 15 stars that were being included in the warm-ups and the training and blah blah blah, and Kyle Brown competed in a little tournament to test his fitness. Ended up being named as the captain, back from injury. Cecil Africa's there, Reno Benjamin's there, Stefan Dippenaar's there, Chris Dry is there, Branko de Prea's there, Cornel Hendricks is there, Cheslin Colby after an outstanding Junior World Cup gets the nod. Sampi Maastricht gets pulled in from the Bulls. Bella Sonatla, after an impressive Junior World Cup as well, is in the mix.
I was really bummed that he didn't equal the record try scoring for the tournament. I really thought he had a shot. He finished on 7-1 behind the record.
Now, Justin Cadult, I'm assuming, was injured, which is why he's not in the mix.
I actually don't know. I know that he played in against... Oh, he might be.
I know he had a knee injury that he was carrying and he was playing into.
That's a bummer. I rate him.
But then Philip Snyman and then Sibusisa Sitoli from the Sharks, a flyer on the outside, getting in the mix. That is a very fucking strong...
Colby, did you mention him?
Yes, but that's a very fucking strong sevens
Very
side.
strong, a lot of running in them. I'm looking forward to seeing what Colby's got in the sevens mix. He might just become one of our greatest.
Oh, I think he's going to end up being... heavily involved at the 15 level at some point in his career, to be honest.
Hope so.
South Africa play the hosts at 5:15 on Friday evening. Awesome. Perfect timing. What a way to start the Friday.
Beautiful.
And then they also have to play Japan and Scotland in their group. And that will be on Saturday, those 2 games, and then the knockout stages on Sunday. So 3 days of sevens rugby for the World Cup. Bring it on.
There are a couple of tough groups there. I know that the one group, I don't know, it's Zimbabwe and Kenya, and who else is in their group with them?
I'll tell you now. Pool A is Australia, France, Spain, Tunisia. That's fairly tough. Japan, Russia, Scotland, South Africa. It looks pretty easy on paper for the Blitzbokker. Kenya, Philippines, Samoa, Zimbabwe.
That is massive because the Philippines aren't going to come in with a shot. Samoa, it's obviously it's going to be between Kenya and Samoa to top that group.
And then a tough group for New Zealand. Okay, aside from Georgia, but Canada and the USA are improving leaps and bounds in sevens rugby. So they'll be fighting it out for second spot in that group, I'd imagine. Fiji, Tonga, Uruguay, and Wales, defending champs in a very, very tough draw. Argentina, England, Hong Kong, and Portugal, another exciting matchup there. And that gets underway. The first game, if you're not doing anything tomorrow, because there's proper Super Rugby too.
I
know. First game tomorrow is 1 p.m. Samoa versus Zimbabwe, followed by Kenya, Philippines, and New Zealand versus Canada are the first 3 games tomorrow afternoon, which is a nice way to round off after a morning game of New Zealand Derby rugby. I think on that note, we should take a break, listen to some music, a little bit of Cat Stevens. And when we come back, we're going to have Mindy Pawsey at MKPS 001 live from Melbourne to talk about what's going on with the Wobblies. You'll be listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Driving Maul, folks. If you want to follow all of the footage and clips, etc. that we're talking about on the show, follow hashtag Driving Maul. Sharky is going fucking ballistic in posting links. It's time to talk about the Lions and the Wallabies. And I suppose before we do that, we should get the superstar from Melbourne on the line. Is it ringing?
I can't hear anything.
There it is.
Hello, Mindy.
Hey.
Good morning.
Wake up.
Evening, afternoon. Are you watching tennis?
How are you?
I'm alright, and you?
Sorry to wake
I'm
you.
good. Good.
Mindy, welcome to Driving Maul.
You have to excuse me a little bit.
No, that's all right. Well, we're about to discuss the Lions Wallabies, and I thought to start it all off, Christian Leali'ifano, the shortest debut in Test rugby history.
Fuck, my heart went out for that guy.
I felt so bad for him. It was just horrific, wasn't it? Like you could not have written a worse story for him.
But he is back and cleared of concussion and starting this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know about that though. Hey, you look pretty bad, but good luck to him. I'm sure he'll do fine this weekend.
Mindy, are you stoned?
No,
No, it's 3 in the morning.
Been a really big week in Australia, as you've probably heard over the last few days.
Yeah, no, you're changing leadership across the board.
Yeah, we've had a good run, and then the ones that haven't changed, we've had Digby have a warrant out for his arrest when he failed to attend his court hearing on Monday morning, and
because he's too busy beating the pommies.
Now, the one thing I do want to ask you before we get on to, well, let's talk about the week that's gone, because, I mean, from my perspective, look, I'll be honest, I backed the Lions to win by 3, but on the balance of play, I think the Wallabies were extremely unlucky.
Agreed.
And I mean, the case in point was, it seems that Leali'ifano was supposed to be the designated goal kicker, so it doesn't help to lose him after 40 seconds, but they left 14 points on the park, including a last-minute kick from Kurtley Beale, obviously. But the big talking point that's come out of it is the stamp by James Horwell. Personally, I didn't see it until this afternoon, and I can't believe that he got off.
I can't believe he got off either. If we were playing anyone other than Britain, I would have been absolutely outraged that he had got off.
Go on, anyone but them.
But yeah, and now the more contentious point, though, is that the IRB want to go and revisit it, which sets a dangerous and new precedent in terms of judicial rulings for misbehaviour on a pitch, because I believe it may be the first time that they are actually challenging a decision by their own commissions.
Correct. It's the first time that they're challenging the verdict. You'll probably remember Adam Thompson last year in the European Tour, the November European Tour was appealed as well, but that was over the length of the sentence I think it was for a very similar act, actually.
Yes, it was.
To be honest. But, yeah, look, I'm not often one to say that I think the IRB are doing the right thing, but I think it did need to be appealed. The problem that I have with it is in the same weekend there were, some questionable incidents in your game over there with Samoa, and they just don't seem to have really cared about it.
No, I mean, questionable is a nice way of putting it. The late the blindside hit with a straight arm by Tuilagi, never mind the one that he got sent for, was probably the worst one. And then, that Suialo incident where it was by accident. If you watch the footage, he sticks his hand in, then he turns it round, and then he has a grab. How's that accidental? Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later. What I do want to talk about is the highlights reel for that first test. I mean, you couldn't have asked for 4 better tries in a test match.
It was just amazing, wasn't it? Amazing. It really, it's lived up to the hype. I think Brisbane was always going to be the Lions test anyway. It was always going to be close, but given the conditions up there, and they've had 6 practice matches before the Wallabies had even got out on the pitch since the November tours. So they were probably going to be a bit more match fit for it, but they were very lucky to walk away with it in the end. We lost Barnes as well, who was our other kicker, so we effectively lost both of our kickers in the first half.
Yep.
We've got Pat McCabe refractured his neck and is out for the rest of the season, which is a pretty nasty injury. And we had Adam Ashley Cooper do his arm and a few bits and pieces along the way. So hopefully Melbourne's our gig.
Well, Minnie, there's 2 things I want to ask. One on the Beale O'Connor incident when they were out until 4 a.m. Is it kind of being swept under the carpet in such a way just purely because of who they are, and he doesn't want to pick someone else like a Cooper or a Tamua to come in, because they're 2 pretty dynamic players and you definitely need them at this point in time? And secondly, can't remember what I wanted to ask, but what are your thoughts on the 2 of them sort of not being really disciplined as such?
Look, I think there's a double problem with it. I think it demonstrates that, don't forget, these guys are all in lockdown Wallaby camp and they're out at 4 a.m. in the city going into a Hungry Jack's or a Burger King, I think it is over there. It demonstrates that, A, they don't have a lot of respect for the coach, or given that they would be well aware of the position, with his role being almost untenable if he loses this tour given the selections. But it demonstrates that he has no control over them either, so it's a bit of a worry. It hasn't been spoken about a lot over here because, they've said, they're out at 4 a.m, but they were all suited up and they were just going out to get something to eat and going home. Now, I don't know about you boys, but I'm struggling to think of a time that I decided to get up at 4 a.m. stone cold sober and go to a Burger King anywhere. So,
but I think also because you guys you've had the State of Origin on, you had it on last night.
Yeah,
could
correct.
that have helped them a little bit?
Sorry.
Could that have helped them a little bit with a little bit the media kind of shifting off to another game?
Yeah, look, the last time Kurtley Beale went out and got into all of his trouble over in Melbourne when he was suspended for being with his alcohol issues was as a result of an NRL game with the Melbourne Storm. So it wouldn't surprise me. James O'Connor has also said during the week that he has spoken to Buddy Franklin, who's an AFL player over here, about kicking styles because he plays at Etihad under the roof and just wanted to gauge some feeling for it. So it's pretty interesting to have Kurtley back in a town where, it was only 6 weeks ago that he was admitted for well, I think they said it was severe alcohol problems, and the ARU have somehow managed to defeat an alcohol addiction by sending someone to Sydney and surfing for a couple of weeks. So
That's a good effort.
Bit of a worry.
A lot of guys surf here in Cape Town, but they're pretty much drunk all the time as well.
Yeah. Look, I mean, from my perspective, just looking at the photograph, they both looked fairly together and clean and tidy. So it may well be the case that they were just out socialising with a few of the Lions players and ended up. But the best tweet of the week comes from Laurie Fisher of the Brumbies.
Yes,
Lord Laurie.
what a cracker.
Silly me thinking sleep and nutrition were the two most important components of recovery for an athlete. Live and learn.
Well, there you go. And, you can't really say that either of them had a blinder on the weekend. So you'd kind of be hoping that they were trying to get any extra advantage that they could, particularly when you consider that they are still both contracted to the Melbourne Rebels. So
yeah,
it's certainly going to be an interesting game, I think.
Just one more thing I actually want to ask you, and it's I mean, no mean trying to put you away, but we chatted quite at length about Israel Folau, and I was a massive fan, and you thought that he needed some more time. What are your thoughts on his debut?
You are an ass.
Me? I think he should be playing fullback.
Backwards.
I think he needs to be playing fullback. What do you think? If I can just twist it around somewhere else.
Look. You're putting me in a very difficult spot here because I am on record.
We won't tell anyone, I promise.
No one over here is still awake. But look, there is no doubt about it. He played an absolute blinder game on the weekend. He's hoping he can do the same again this week. But he's a fit unit, isn't he? It doesn't matter what sport he plays. My concern with him is that there's fairly strong word that his union stint is only a 12-month stint. So, and that he is going back to NRL next year. And if that's the case, I just get a little bit concerned that we're not looking long-term for a World Cup and we're just sort of filling in a couple of bits here and there.
Maybe they're trying to convince him.
Probably look better.
I've only just got the other computer back and now you're throwing beer over my other one.
Sorry.
Jesus. Mindy, moving away from the negative stuff, I mean, the test match itself and obviously the second test coming up this weekend, the biggest story that's come out of it, aside from the Horwell stamping, is Paul O'Connell breaking his arm with minutes to play and telling the medics to piss off, I'm finishing the game.
He's incredible, isn't he? I don't like the guy because he's British and he's the enemy this week and that's all that matters. But you got to say, demonstrate pure heart, so good on him. It'll be a big loss for them actually. So it should be an interesting week. I think we've got a couple of interesting matchups. The non-selection of what was a seemingly fit George Smith has been talked about quite a bit in the last couple of hours over here. But I mean, my mail is that he had a bit of a niggle anyway, and they wanted to get him match fit and get him out on the pitch a bit. So it wouldn't surprise me if he plays like a lower club grade rugby game over the weekend in anticipation for what will hopefully be a decider, the third test back in Sydney. So we'll just have to see how things map out.
But now, I mean, that's a big call in terms of Smith for Hooper or even Liam Gill, because I personally don't think either of them are disappointed. But I suppose to have that kind of leadership in a big game. But the Wallabies have made a few changes. Obviously, injury enforced. Beale is in the side, and the other one is Joe Tamani that comes in.
Oh, I think he's dangerous. The Aussies have two strong wingers. They're not as big and as robust as the as the previous the Lions wingers, but I think they are so flippin' dangerous. It's frightening.
Yeah. Look, there's no doubt about it. We've got a great selection of backs in Australia. If we put them in the right combination, we just got to. We've been lucky with the forwards. Have sort of blended well the last couple of weeks, and there was a couple of times in the first test that I was mightily impressed with our scrumming. This was probably the first time that I've been able to say that in a few years in Australia. So, look, I'm just stoked that we've got Jesse Mogg in the squad. Yep. I love the kid. I think he really deserved to get it, even if he's on the bench. I hope he gets a run.
I'm just a bit worried about his injury. Is his ribs?
Yeah, I think I can't remember whether it was his ribs or it looked like it might have been his sternum. So it started off with his ribs, but I think he's all right. I imagine too.
You'd hope, seeing as he's on the bench for his debut. And then, the big talking points for the Lions is that 5 changes. It's a winning side, but they won narrowly. Tommy Bowe, after 3 weeks without rugby with a broken hand, replaces Cuthbert, who was outstanding.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like Cuthbert had a shit game.
And then Ben Youngs comes in for Phillips, who many thought should have been the call anyway from the beginning. Parling, probably the best line-out player on tour so far, in for injured O'Connell. And then Sean O'Brien, for me, arguably one of the best flankers in world rugby, finally gets some recognition. He's like the Heinrich Brousseau of the Lions tour. Your thoughts on where this one goes this weekend?
Look, I've said all along that I thought it would be 2-1 Australia, with the Lions taking out the first test in a close one, and I was right there. We're under the roof in Melbourne. We've had absolutely gorgeous weather, even though it's still been quite cool. The sun's been out and quite vicious this week, so I'm kind of hoping that we burn the hell out of the British during the week and they all wind up with sunstroke on Saturday night or something. But I think it'll be a cracking match. I was at the Rebels
sunstroke. Are you going down to that now? Is that all you need?
Hey?
Is that all you need? Them all to suffer from sunstroke before you win a test?
Oh yeah, I think so.
You got to fly. You got to fly the Southern Hemisphere flag high. We can't have the Poms winning.
Dude,
this,
she was running. She was running around at the Rebels game in a Sharks shirt on Tuesday.
I saw quality. I actually wanted to mention that legend.
But now, Mindy, how was that experience? Because I went to 2 of the Lions games here in 2009. The second test that we won up at Loftus, but I went to a midweek game in Cape Town. It might have been against emerging South Africa. And one of the two of the most enjoyable games of rugby I've been to, just in terms of the fraternizing with the opposition. Yeah, it was amazing Tuesday night. They had it was the highest crowd they've ever had at Amy Park. They were 1,500. It was sold out, but we had 1,500 people that didn't rock up, which, given the weather, but it's still pretty disappointing that 1,500 chose not to attend after paying for their tickets, but. It was great. It was, I've been to World Cups and to Olympics and tests for cricket and rugby all over the world, and it was probably one of the best crowds that I've ever been in. So it was just absolutely electric. So I'm really looking forward to Etihad. Etihad's got a capacity of about 55 to 60, I think it is. Are you going?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah.
It is it is something special to experience, because I've been to a Rugby World Cup game, but a Lions Test match, it ranks right up there for me. Look, it was helped by a 79th minute 55-metre kick by Mornay Steyn to win the series, and then walking past the Lions in enclave that they had outside the ground and just singing "It's All Gone Quiet Over There." But yeah, it's going to be a cracker. I can't wait. What's it, 12 o'clock Saturday our time?
Yep.
Enjoy the game, Mindy. Thanks for taking our call in the wee hours of the Melbourne morning.
Now, Mindy, thanks very much for popping in. But please get dressed up in your number ones. Go out and grab a Hungry Lion or a Burger King or whatever. Everyone's doing it.
And take a selfie.
I've got a program for you too, Sean, just as requested.
Oh, shut up. Thank you. Thanks very much. And what about the signed jersey that I asked for?
See what I can do.
Okay, I'll just take programs from every game you had. I'll take programs. Thanks.
Don't rely on jerseys. She promised me a Melbourne Storm one when she came to Cape Town. I'm still waiting.
I got it. Thanks, Mins.
Mindy, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Get some shut-eye. Enjoy the Wimbledon, because there's lots of shocks going on there. I know we're a rugby show, but I do have to ask you this. Mark Webber retired from Formula One today.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? The going joke over here at the moment is if he takes as long to retire as what he does to get off the starting blocks, he'll still be there in 3 years' time, so don't stress too much about it.
Outstanding. Mins, enjoy the test match, and enjoy the Super Rugby for the next 2 weekends in its true format.
Yes, we shall. Let's just leave it at that.
Take care. Good to chat. We'll speak to you soon.
Always.
Bye.
Okay, catch you soon.
And now, away from the Lions.
More importantly, have you read Mindy's Twitter profile location? Australia and South Africa. I thought it was quite interesting. She's been here once, eh?
Yes. No.
Anyway, what are we jumping on to now, big guy?
Well, it was a bit of a blackwash for the French against the All Blacks. They ended up losing the series 3-0, but what a game the third one was. I mean, 24-9 kind of belies how close it actually was. But the one point that I've been trying to make all season, and it was highlighted again in the first few minutes, Daniel Carter has lost a yard or two of his pace since that groin injury kicking penalty conversion attempts in training in the World Cup. The umpteenth charge down on one of his clearance kicks in his own 22 this season. Couldn't get his backline going for a while. And Mornay from Rugger World made a valid point a few months ago in saying that he has a suspicion that All Black Rugby may just implode in 2013.
Oh, I love this man.
Time will tell, because they weren't overly convincing in beating the French. I know they did thump them 30-0 in the second test. And then for the Frogs, again, and we harp on about this, the son of a box skipper. Bainan Klaasen was captain of the Springboks in the Flower Bomb tour of New Zealand in the 80s. His son played a 8th man for France against the self-same All Blacks on Saturday. Went all right. He's a big unit too.
He's a big guy. I've seen him play. He plays for Clermont or Racing Metro. I don't know.
One of the French teams.
Oh, jeez, well done, well spotted. Let's place that obvious. But either way, he didn't look that big when he was playing in the top 14. But he had a pretty decent game. I'm just really bummed that last week that the French didn't pull through. If they had won last week just for shits and giggles to make it a good test match, it would have been good. But for those of you that missed the game, I'm just popping up the highlights of the third test on Twitter now, and you can follow us on the hashtag Driving Maul, and you'll be able to pick up all the information.
And just in terms of that game, because we've been talking about Ben Smith, and I think everyone's been talking about Ben Smith for a while, but he really, I mean, it's come out of the All Black squad that through Sumo Stevenson that he doesn't actually realise how good he actually is, and his name now in the All Black squad is Ghost.
Sumo Stevenson.
He goes through a gap.
Sumo Stevenson's absolutely legendary. We got to get him here and have a couple of beers and talk shit.
Indeed. But, Ben Smith, quite spectacular and playing out of position on the wing. And we've been talking about the fact that he needs to find another position in terms of the All Blacks because of Israel Dag at the back at 15. And we were talking him up as an outside centre. But Corey Jane under pressure.
Oh, I think Corey Jane's class. He offers something a little bit different to the game as well. He's also very skillful. But I still think out of this series we could probably get one of the tries of the year with Bowden Barrett scoring that try in the second test. Their last try was probably one of the greatest tries I've seen, with great hands. And
then he picked up one at the death coming on with 2 minutes to play on his home ground and raised the roof in New Plymouth.
Crazy. And his butt played in the Junior World Cup as well, though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I think he actually played at 10. Did he play at 10?
I don't know. I didn't watch too many of New Zealand's games. On to the Bokke. We were going to have a music break, but I just figure we'll just keep rolling. Or should we play some music? Let's play some music. We'll come back and we'll do Bokke and then Super Rugby and then we'll go home.
Can we play Blur?
No, I was going to play a bit of Rolling Stones, and this is dedicated to Robbie Deans.
Bingo.
Welcome back to the home stretch at Driving Maul this week. It's been quite a fun show, and it's now time to talk about grabbing other men's testicles. When or when is it not appropriate, Sharky?
Thanks for catching me a little bit blindsided, kind of like Tuilagi did, but no.
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 James Soialo.
But he didn't grab. It was a bit of a fondle and,
Dude,
a tickle.
Fuck off.
Grab.
He slides his hand in there with the hand down and gets the wrist in underneath. Then he turns the hand around, grabs a fucking handful of Adrian Strauss's manhood and gives him enough of a squeeze for Strauss to throw a haymaker off the ground and then go charging after him through a ruck screaming, "You fucking puss."
Whoa, easy.
No, he did.
I know.
Agreed.
Easy. However, he ran with his tail between his legs because he thought he was mean and Samoan, but everyone said, listen, be careful of the Dutchman, they will beat you within an inch of your life. And that second he believed it because he ran.
But then he has the audacity to say that it was unintentional and he was trying to clear the ruck. He made no attempt to lift while grabbing, let's be clear. Strauss obviously couldn't see what was going on, so he has said that he assumed there was no malice. But how the fucking citing commission decided that didn't warrant more of a punishment is beyond me.
I don't know. And if they're going to review James Hall's clear jumping on someone's head, surely a little ball fondle warrants the same.
I don't know, dude. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of his bullshit about it being accidental and there's no place, he got away with it by basically being the good prefect who was caught smoking around the back of the fucking woodwork sheds at school. But the other talking point, and Sharky's just dropped the clip up on Facebook. Listen to me, Twitter. Hashtag driving more, go and have a look, because Eliseni Tuilagi, and I mean, straight red had to be any day of the week as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to say one thing. If he had done that and Bucky's Boerter was on the field, what would have happened?
It would have been ugly.
Anyone, I don't know how the Oaks didn't climb into that. I don't know how Jean de Villiers, maybe he was concussed, got up and shook the Oaks' hand.
That moment right there highlighted what a good leader he actually is, as far as I'm concerned.
Correct.
Because Adrian Strauss, people keep talking him up as a Bok captain. He lost his fucking cool.
You're allowed to lose.
I don't know. But if he'd connected with that right hook off the ground, he's gone and not the other guy.
I would have paid money to watch that guy drop with his glass jaw when that right hook smacked him and the knees buckled and he thought to himself, oh.
And then go and grab hold of his nuts and shake him. How do you like it now?
Should have dragged him to the bench, the red card bench with him. Come with me! Bitch, just hit him over the head.
That high hit on de Villiers was diabolical. But there was one 5 or 10 minutes prior to that where he hit a banner blindside. Also, he got away with it because they said it was a legal tackle. But it's shoulder height with a stiff arm. And Abana even gets up and shakes his head, goes, whoo, that was hard, because he knows he got hit hard.
Yeah.
But as far as I was concerned, that one should have been in front of a citing commission as well, because that was probably worse than the one on de Villiers, because who was it that South Africa...
You can carry on talking. It's difficult for you to do two things at once. I understand that, but you can carry on talking.
There was who was the eighth man for the Wallabies in the 80s, the 90s, that got his career ended by Kempson hitting him late and high in the shoulders?
I don't know.
Kefu.
Tatai Kefu? Really? Kemper would never do something like that. Firstly, he's a friend of blokes on the couch. He wouldn't do something like that. Tatai Kefu, listen, that oak had more than enough games in his life. He was a machine. And his brother, incidentally, Stevie Kefu, got absolutely owned at Newlands. Who was it that took him apart? Was it Mauricio Bear or Robbie Fleck?
Can't remember. But yeah, how Suiola gets away with anything is beyond me. How Tuilagi only gets a 2-match ban for that clothesline at high speed is beyond me. And then you throw into the mix that Horwell gets off with a head stamp, and not even like a oops, I stood on your face, like a I'm going to backheel studs down on your pip in the 3rd minute of a fucking test match, and get away with it.
I I was actually blown away. I mean, and it is up on Twitter. You can follow at Blokes on a Couch or myself at Judge Rugby, or you can hit the hashtag Driving Maul and have a look at it. But it's also the first time I saw it properly and actually really sort of dived into it. It was just before the show. Blown away. And you know, I agree with the IRB, like he got off however he got off, but they want to relook at it. I can see why they want to relook at it, because maybe they're looking at it with funny eyes, but it's real. It's crazy.
No, for a change, a decision from a citing commission has ended up with the IRB going, oh wait, hang on a second, and thankfully it wasn't a South African team involved.
Are they going to say we made a mistake again, like they did last time, like they do every week?
Ek weet nie. Adrian, it was Adrian Garvey, that's who it was. Donkey Buckies.
Calves. See, I told you it wasn't K.
It was same era.
Same size. Jeez, it's difficult for you to do things.
No, I'm trying to. I was trying. We were about to jump into Super Rugby, but actually, we need to just talk about the positive sides of the Bok performances, because they were playing a little bit of running rugby for the last 3 weeks. And I know it was in bits and pieces and slightly all over the place, but I was impressed, and particularly with the pack that they had on the park in terms of the flanks in Francois and Alberts. Biggest issue, though, is Pierce tore a bicep in the 13th minute, kept playing for 27 minutes, and then the other one is Francois Lowe is not going to be available for the Rugby Championship because it doesn't fall in the international window, and he's going to be playing for Bath, which means there's an all-new back row coming in the Rugby Championship. But we'll get onto that on a later stage. Because
I'm happy with the way the Boks finished off. We played exceptionally well against Samoa. Everyone, when we play Samoa, everyone in their back of their mind will think, shit, you know what, we could possibly lose this game.
I did.
Because we're playing good rugby, but they also play hard rugby, and it's the same as when you play club rugby against a side that are quite dirty and they'll get in your face. You know, your head wanders off, you know. And but the boys stuck together and did the right job. I thought Villaroo was exceptionally good. Like, they knew the danger that he brought, and he was drawing the man, taking the pounding, but offloading, but taking the pounding that a good fullback needs.
Who's the oak on Twitter? Jan Frick.
Yeah.
Hey, he said Villaroo's new name should be Picasso because he draw you and then you have a funny face afterwards.
And that would be Villaroo's funny face. Anywho.
And he did draw a few set up some beautiful tries. Let's move on to Super Rugby proper for the next 2 weeks, because there's no Aussie teams involved.
I'll tell you one thing, it's kind of sneaked up on me. I've been quite engrossed in the Lions, so it's been massive. It's lived up to all it's been, everyone's been sort of making it out to be. But sneaky little game, but they're all derbies except for one.
Indeed, the Blues are on tour in South Africa and seem to be enjoying themselves. I've seen lots of tweets about how much fun they're having, and they are taking on a Sharks side in fucking turmoil. I mean, John Smith, talk about cleaning house.
Saw a tweet today, I can't remember who sent it, but they said possibility of McLeod Henderson as head coach and Butch James involved in coaching as well.
McLeod Henderson was definitely the Currie Cup coach, and he, by all accounts, is the highest paid schoolboy rugby coach in South Africa for Hilton. But good things there in terms of what Smith's trying to do in terms of creating a new regime, clean it out, start over. It's going to cost them a little bit because Plumtree's won 2 years worth of salary out of them for the early dismissal. But aside from that, it's rugby. Chiefs Hurricanes. Chiefs looking to maintain themselves up the top end of the table. Canes must-win game, otherwise their season's over. Highlanders Crusaders. Highlanders playing for pride. Crusaders playing for a playoff spot. Sharks Blues. Must win for the Blues. Sharks season pretty much done, playing for pride. Bulls Kings. Luke Watson out for 6 months, so he won't be replacing Pierce Spies in the Rugby Championship.
Damn.
For the Bulls, then they've lost about 15,000 players to overseas in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
But don't worry, they have the other 80% of the South African talent too, so it's okay.
The Dieval Potgieter to skip the side for the remainder of the season before he fucks off overseas. Stormers Cheetahs in Cape Town on Saturday night. Oh, I'm tempted.
It's going to be a cracker. I unfortunately can't make it. I really wanted to go, but I tell you one thing. Cheetahs have kind of put all they have put all their Springboks back into their starting lineup. Stormers have had to rest Jean de Villiers for an injury, which we all believe he should have been rested for against Samoa. The guy needs a break, let's be honest. And Cheetahs are playing for their first ever playoff spot. Maybe not first ever, but first in recent times. And it's going to be a cracker.
Do you know that mathematically the Sharks and the Stormers can still make the playoffs?
Yes, I know this.
I've just realised this.
But it's...
Yeah, no,
crazy.
sure. It's like huge outside chances, but they are going to be playing to win. And I'm so torn because, like, if I back the Stormers, they lose. And if I back the Cheetahs, the Stormers win. But I really want the Cheetahs to get this one. As weird as that sounds as a Stormers supporter. But it's one of those situations where I'd like to see the Cheetahs in the playoffs.
I think so too, and we spoke about it briefly a little while ago. I think in terms of SA rugby, to get the Cheetahs in the playoff, get the guys used to playing that knockout rugby, and hopefully next year, the Stormers, the Bulls, and the Sharks have done it in little bits and pieces, and the Bulls more than others. But they need that experience. You need that knockout experience to take you further, and the Cheetahs need to do it.
And they would have benefited hugely from Villy Leroux and PVC getting what their runs for the box in the last few weeks. So that would have done them some good, stood them in it'll help them.
Get it out, my guy.
Yeah, I'm trying. I can't. It would 8-bar. The Cheetahs, essentially, if they pick up a win, they pretty much guarantee themselves a playoff spot with one game to play, and they've got a bye. So you can add 4 onto their total already. So the win, if they beat the Stormers in Cape Town on Saturday night, I'm going. I've got to go. 7:15. That's good. You know what a cracker that game is going to be.
It's going to be a cracker. I won't make it there.
The Cheetahs are going to come out playing to win. Okay, quickly, let's... No, I don't have a pen and a piece of paper.
You have a laptop in front of you, mate. Just put it on a freaking word sheet or something.
We've got it. Can I write on your payslip?
My payslip? Oh, no, it's not my payslip. There you go. Okay, so what are we calling?
Well, it's...
Super Brew. Let's get this puppy down.
No, keep it. I got it. Chiefs, Canes. It's got to be the Chiefs by 5.
Chiefs by 14.
Next one. Oh, what did I do with the... Oh, now you need my pen. Highlanders, Crusaders. It's got to be the Crusaders by 5.
Do you know that Corey Flynn, if he gets... he's on the bench. If he makes a run on Saturday, that he will be the highest... Well, the most capped Crusader of all time on 130, surpassing Reuben Thorne on 129. How's that, duty bugger? They've made a few changes. They've opted for a relatively new front row. They've got Ben Funnell hooking, and they've got a new guy that I'm not too familiar with propping up. They've got a pretty solid bench.
Nepo Laolala must be related to Casey.
Yeah. No, he's already played the other and the
Joe
other.
Moody. He's also played
Joe Moody.
this year.
He's played a few, but he hasn't played a lot. Robbie Fern on the bench, quite interesting. Diggy, Israel Dag at fullback. So quite interesting. I say the Crusaders by 19.
And they've only brought back half their All Blacks. The rest are on the bench. And then Sharks Blues. I'm going to go Sharks by 5.
I won't lie. I'm struggling with this one. I picked the Sharks and they're probably going to lose, so I should pick the Blues and just be a real traitor, and then hopefully I get proved wrong. What? The Blues are cuck. The only game the Blues have won this whole year was against the Sharks at home. Fuck it. Sharks by 1.
Look, the Blues are 5 ahead of the Sharks, so yeah, that one might not be a bad call.
Shut your mouth.
No, it might not be a bad call. Bulls, Kings. Now, I have a Super Rugby theory about 5 points, but I'm going to fucking kick it right into touch for this game, and I'm going to say the Bulls.
You stole your theory, mate.
No, I did the research. I will show you
I
all my work.
I don't want to see it.
25 to the Bulls. Going away.
Yeah, I won't lie. I'm quite intrigued to see what's happening. The Bulls have brought a couple of the boys back. Kirshner's come back from injury. The Kings have been off. They haven't had anyone in the Springbok camp or anything for the last few weeks. The rest may have done them well. They're playing at Loftus. Could G them up a little. I know a few of those guys are being hunted by the Bulls at the moment, so they're going to have a point to prove. Sadly, I don't see the Bulls losing, but I'll say Bulls by 12.
And then the final game, Cheetahs or Stormers Cheetahs.
Oh, I can't hear you breaking up.
See, I'm in a quandary. I want the Cheetahs to win, which means I should back the Stormers. But if I back the Stormers, then I'm going to miss out on the Super Bowl points when the Cheetahs win. So I'm going to go Cheetahs by 5.
I'm going to go Cheetahs by 7. Stormers have got a few injury problems. A couple of guys that haven't played for a while coming back from injury. And relatively weak bench. So what did I say? Cheetahs by 12.
7. One thing you can expect, though, is games of rugby that look much like they did in the first week of Super Rugby after 3 weeks off for most of these. It's going to be helter-skelter fucking pie-chucking stuff. But I cannot wait, because it's Friday morning rugby. Folks, you've been listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. Sharky, thanks so much. Mindy, thanks so much for joining us and giving us your insights on what's going on in Australia.
Enjoy your burger.
And we will chat to you next week. I might actually go to Newlands on Saturday.
I hope you do, but get me a program.
You've been listening to Driving Maul Loud Radio. I think I said that already. It's time to go.
Ciao.